How are you all doing? We are coming to do a fuzzy match, and I'll have to explain what fuzzy match is. Now, we have this fact table over here, and I'm sure we might be familiar with these shapes, the names of these shapes. This triangle, square, pentagon, on and on too. So these are the shapes to an 11-sided shape. Then we have a price tag for each shape that a student will take or have. So these are the names of the students, these are the names of the shapes they took, and the number of sides that the shape has. And what we want to do finally is to be able to place the price tags for each shape over here. If it were to have been a small table, we could have done it easily. But this table number, or the students here, number up to, let's check it out, 212. And that is a lot of students. So we need a quick way to be able to fix in the cash price over here in a correct manner in relation to the type of shape the students chose. So to be able to do this, I would like to use Power Query to do this. Now we are going to use a match to do it, and we have to use a fuzzy match because, for instance, triangle, right, it's 3-sided, and when you choose a triangle you get $30. But when we look over here, we see triangle over here, and you'll see that the triangle is correctly spelled over here, and it's correctly spelled over here as well. Now this is our fact table, so everything should be correct. These are the entries by the students, so there could be errors here. So when we look at this one looks okay. Now some student doesn't know the name for a 3-sided figure and just wrote 3-sided, and that is not here. So how would the pairing be done so that the correct value will be entered over here? That is a situation. Also, if you look at this one, it says triangles with an S, while this one says triangle. So it's not going to be a perfect match. So we would have situations, or we could have a situation where the matching won't take place, so a cash price of $30 won't be fixed over here. So we have to find a way to solve this problem. So without much ado, I'll move straight into Power Query, send these two tables into Power Query, and then match them. I'll first would like to give the tables names. So I'll highlight this table, and then I'll go to table design and give it a name. It says table 2, but I'll say fact table. And this one, I'll call it the students table. I'll call it the students table. Students table. So those are the two names for this table. So I'll push both tables into Power Query. So one of the simplest ways to do this is to right click and choose get data from tables or range. So the fact table, you see here, that's the name of the table, and it's now the name of the query. You can also see it here, and this is the apply steps box. So it's been brought here as the shape, the name of the shape, the number of sides, and then the price tag for each shape. So I will try and close it, close and load to, but not just close and load to. I would like to load it as connections only, right? So I can put it here, only create connections, and we say we don't need to add this to the data model. We just say okay. So we have it here, fact table, right? And it's connections only. Then we go for this other table too as well. This table, I'll right click it and then say get data from tables or range. That also loads into Power Query. So we have both tables in Power Query, right? And then we are going to do the matching. we would like to have this table present itself first, then this second table here will be matched along this table over here. So we start. As I said earlier on, we are going to put, this is the students table we'll start with, then the fact table over here has these prices over here that we want to put at the side. So we have to match the two tables, but we need some column that will serve as a matching pair. The shapes we are going to use, so we have shape here, and in this fact table too we have shape that is going to be our matching columns to do this work or to get this work done. So we come here, we'll start with this table, the student table. We start with this table and we go to merge queries. We click on the arrow beside it, and I would want to merge it as a new query. So here is our student table. You can see it here. The first table chosen here was the student table, right? So we want to pair it with or match it with the fact table. So we need to look for the this shape here, and then that's what we're going to match it with this one here. So those are the two tables, that will be two columns that will be used for the matching or the pairing. So if you read here, it says that the selection matches 194 of 212 rows, right, from the first table. So it means that it found a match for 194 rows, whereas the total number of rows in this table is 212. This table was able to match onto this one with 194 rows being successful, and the rest have issues. So I'll just say okay, and you'll see that the fact table, see, I called this a fact table, and this is the here, this was the student table, and the fact table, which is this one, has been merged onto the student table. So you see that from here to here is the fact table. That's from here to here is the student table, and the fact table has been joined to it. Now with this one, if I click over here, now this table, if I click this free area, not on the table itself, it says table is empty. It couldn't find a matching pair. But if I come to, let's say this one, square, I found it, right? You see, you could have this square, number of sides for price $40. So we have a situation here. It couldn't match some of them, and some could be matched. We remember it had 192 rows which had a good match, and the rest couldn't match. So what we are going to do is this is the expansion box, the expand icon. We click on it. We already have shape inside this part of the table, so I don't think I would want that one. So I take out shape. We also already have number of sides. We see it here, so I'll take it out. And what we need is the price. I would like to use original column as a prefix, so I'll leave it here, so that the name that will come will be price coming from the fact table. So I'll leave this on and say okay. So upon doing that, we see over here that we have the fact table, and there's a column coming from the fact table, and that column is called price, which has been adjoined to this table, right? So there we have it. Some of them are showing now, whilst others have the numbers or the dollar amounts fixed onto it. So we want to know why. Let's do some investigations. Now here it says squares with an S, whereas on the fact table it says square without the S. So that causes the differences, and hence it will not merge, right? We will not get a good merge, we will not get a merge. So we would have to do some corrections over here. So what I'll do next is I'll just want to delete this query I created and start it all over. Okay, So as I said previously, we start with the students table. I go to merge queries, merge it as a new query. Then we have the students table here. I'll come here, merge it with the facts table, and you know, we'll choose the merging columns here. This, then it told us that we had 192 rows being successful out of 212 rows, but then I'm going to use a fuzzy match. Right, when I use a fuzzy match, I click on it, it recalculates and says 200 rows are matching now. That means we've increased our success rates. Right, so I say okay. So now most of them, now what is happening is that fuzzy match has kind of allowed for some error margin. So we know that square over here is written as squares with an S, whereas in the fact table it was square without the S. And let's look at this four-sided. So now if we click on this part, this free area, now square has been allowed through. Even though it is squares with an S, it has been allowed because we clicked on the fuzzy match. Whereas this one, four-sided, which means a square, let's see, was still not allowed. Now why is this so? Let's try to understand why in the beginning squares was not accepted. It didn't go through, right? But now squares has gone through. What I'll do is to try to drag this Power Query down over here, and let's look at this. Now here was saying the fact table, it was saying square, whereas in the students table we had square here without an S, here squares with an S, so it was rejected. But what Power Query does is that it looks at the similarities, right, with the matching columns. Shapes were selected as matching columns. Shape over here and shape over here were selected as matching columns. So the entity inside, that is square, what is here must match exactly with this square, but the difference here is the S. So if you choose fuzzy match, it allows for 80% similarities, or 80% similarity. So the difference here, just one S, right, means that the similarity could be about 95%. So anything from 80% similarity to 100% similarity is allowed through, is passed, whereas anything less than 80% similarity is flagged out. So that means that if the difference is 20% and above, it will be flagged out or it will not pass through. But if the difference is less than 20%, it will pass through. So that is the situation over here. So something like four-sided, the word four-sided, look at the characters, FOURSIDED, right? It's very, very different from the letters SQUARE. It is so different from each other, hence it doesn't pass through. So it's using the 80% similarity principle to work. So that is why some won't pass through. So we have to do something about the ones that didn't pass through. To fix the problem, I would like to expand this. I click on it. As usual, I remove all these ones so that it will be left with the price, and then we'll keep the prefix as well. It changes to the dollar equivalent, the dollar price tag. These ones that come as null, we've already explained that they didn't match. Why? Because 10-sided, it wasn't in the fact table. So we'll go for some kind of corrections. We need some corrections to be done. So I'll first just go back to Excel, and I'll say close and load to. Now this is our correction table. With this correction table, you must understand that this is how you have to arrange the heading. It must always be a from, then to. It can't be anything else. From how it was written, then to how it should be written. you cannot use any other heading apart from this heading. Okay, and you must also make sure the data type is correct, or it matches with how you are going to fix it into this main table. So I would have to send this into Power Query. I've already named this table as corrections over here. So I'm going to load corrections into Power Query. I right click, go to get data from table or range. So it will be loaded into Power Query, and this table is now called corrections from to. I'll make sure they are both in text format. Right, it's loaded as text. Change type text. If they were going to have been figures, I would have done change type whole number. Okay, so we are okay here. I go back to my merge table and try to fix this ones. So what I'll do is to go to the source, come here, the gear icon. I go to the gear icon, then it loads the dialog box, the merge dialog box. I come to the fuzzy matching options, scroll down, and then come to for this table. This option here. I click on it and choose the corrections. So we are going to use the corrections to correct what has gone wrong in this work. Now, when we click on this and we read down here, it says that I want to get it into view. Yes, it says that at the bottom, it says that the selection matches 212 out of 212 rows from the first table. So we'll click on the OK down there. It might be out of view, but we'll go and click on it down here. So I click on it and I need to expand. It's over here, but it looks like I need to expand it again, but I've already expanded it here. So I just come there and you will realize that, let me close this, you will realize that everything is now showing. We've corrected everything. So you use fuzzy matching when you know that people or students have done the data entry, and as human as they are, they will err or they will make some mistakes. So these mistakes are just some slight mistakes. So when they are just slight mistakes, maybe an E that is missing, or just a simple typo error, or a transpositional error that has only that has an 80% similarity or above, you just use fuzzy matching because human beings make mistakes. But if the person types it in a way which is very different from what's in the fact table, like this one, which is very different from what's in the fact table, you will have to come in and interpret it and know that when the person said 3-sided, he meant triangle. When the person said 10-sided, he meant octagon. So like here, the corrections. When the person said 3-sided, he meant triangle. When the person said 4-sided, he meant square. When the person said 10-sided, he meant decagon. And the heading of the tables is fixed. It must always start from a from, then to. So that will then fix your work for you. So finally, what we have to do is to load our work back into Excel. We've been successful. We have the prices over here already. I think I would like to rename this and say just prices. Let's do this. Then I will send it back to close and load to, and this time we'll load it as a table also onto a new sheet. We'll say okay. So we have our prices here. Thank you very much. You can always like, share and follow me, and also if you have any questions, drop me some questions and let me know what next you'd want me to teach. Drop me some questions if you don't understand anything I taught here, and I'll be glad to answer you. Thank you very much.